Hello and welcome to the Source One podcast. Consider us your source for the latest procurement, supply management, and strategic sourcing insights, anytime, anywhere.
Every so often when I meet with a new client, the meeting kicks off with them telling me how well they have spend under control. Telecom spend? Got it covered. Marketing agencies? Just taken care of. It sometimes hardly matters which category gets mentioned at all. The answer often boils down to one case closing assessment. That spend is under management, nice and clean and tidy. Only it isn't. Not always. That cover on our telecom spend gets blown right off when we ask the follow-up question, when was the last time you went to market? The most common answer? Somewhere between 3 years and never. The same holds true for marketing agencies. Enough time might have elapsed that multiple brand-wide strategies have come and gone without even a single search for a new agency best suited to see them through. Perhaps that's the reason those strategies keep coming and going. Don't get me wrong, I'm okay with this. If all that spend really was well under management, then I'd be out of a job. However, considering what an important metric spend under management is, or at least is touted as, I think we should spend at least a little time considering, how well are we really managing our spend? To figure out what's going wrong, we need to put a definition behind the term. This need, in and of itself, should give us a clue into the problem we collectively face. A lot of definitions are a bit ambiguous. A general definition is any spend under active control by procurement. This sounds nice and simple, and the term active control has a nice ring to it too. The problem is the vague notion of what it means to actively control something. How consistent and ubiquitous does an activity need to be considered active? How deeply involved in the process must procurement be before we're considered in control? These terms are incredibly open to interpretation, yet we all too often take these subjective characteristics and tie them to a highly specific, objective-sounding goal. You're not a top-performing team without at least 85% of spend under management. If you have less than 25% under management, you're in trouble. Toss me out to sea if you wish, but throw me a flotation device. Worry not, for that's exactly what I intend to do. When it comes to defining terms, I prefer definitions that include a call to action. In this case, there are 4 calls to action that I think define when spend is really under management. To that end, let's consider spend to be under management when the following conditions are met. 1. It's been properly sourced. Procurement has gone to market recently and reviews the supplier landscape as it stands today. 2. It's covered by the terms of a contract. Once sourced, all pricing, terms, and SLAs are codified in an agreement. 3. It is routinely audited. Procurement actively tracks purchases against pricing and SLA agreements. And 4. It gets analyzed. Within the context of our organization, suppliers are reviewed to ensure that they support and advance our goals. Now, let's unpack those items a little bit. To begin with, I don't believe any spend can be considered under management if we haven't recently gone to market to test our suppliers against their competitors. We simply don't know what we don't know, minimally in terms of pricing. However, price is only one key element. The solution we have in place today may not be the best possible solution. Certainly the solution from several years back won't be as good as a more recent one, especially true in the case of IT and telecom. You should consider at least some of your suppliers as partners who can bring fresh solutions to you in order to build and improve your organization beyond simple cost reduction. After we've confirmed that our supplier is best in class and price competitive, we want to get that in writing. I've seen companies grow frustrated and resentful of supplier relationships held together through years of unwritten agreements. They're often surprised when these suppliers start missing timelines or delivering a lower quality product than at the beginning of the relationship. If there are service level terms that are important to us, they need to be codified in an SLA. Otherwise, there may be no clear foundation for improving a supplier who is slipping. Ask yourself, what is the minimum level of service you should expect? If a supplier drops below that level, what recourse do you have? What penalties does a supplier face, and how long do they have to fix an issue before those penalties are incurred? You aren't likely going to find these answers in a clear-cut way unless you have them in an agreement. The third point ties in with the establishment of these SLAs. It's one thing to know you have an established, executed agreement, but it's another to claim with any certainty that that agreement is being followed. I've seen organizations burned on both sides of this one. Externally, suppliers will slip and start missing service goals if not held to task, while internally, buyers may ignore competitively priced on-contract items in favor of pricier purchases from a second, unmanaged supplier. The best written agreement counts for nothing if either or both sides don't abide by it. Taking those first 3 points into account, we've reached a point now where we're keeping the trains running pretty efficiently. That said, we still need to keep in mind that our point of origin, our sourcing events, and our resulting mix of pricing and SLAs are based on a single snapshot in time. What was right for our organization yesterday may not fit where our organizations will be tomorrow. As a simple example, if our spend with a supplier increases dramatically year over year, then we may command more leverage to lower pricing than we had when we first went to market. I see this a lot with acquisitions. An organization spend doubles or more and moves into big fish territory, yet they haven't negotiated with an incumbent vendor since the early days of being small fry. This issue goes beyond costs. Simply put, your organization and its goals may outgrow an incumbent relationship, or on the other side, that incumbent's business may shift away from the offerings that you came to rely on them for. In either of these cases, we need to evaluate how the supplier fits into our overarching strategy months or even years after the ink dries on our contract. The final mistake is to misinterpret these activities as occurring in a single straight line. Make no mistake, this is a process that needs to be cyclical. Although the length of time will vary from category to category and product to product, procurement is never done with these phases. We need to cap any review of our supplier relationships with a single question. Kill switch style, can we think of any reasons not to go back out to market right now? At the end of the day, if we can't identify any valid reasons the cycle shouldn't start again, odds are good that it's time to go back out and reevaluate how our incumbents stack up against any new, hungry competitors in the market.
You've been listening to the Source One podcast. For more strategic sourcing and procurement insights every day, visit our blog, The Strategic Sorcerer. Want to provide feedback or suggest a topic for a future episode? Let us know at prrequest@sourceoneinc.com. Thanks for listening.